Happening now, the latest on the area's efforts to contain COVID-19. Plus, Chautauqua County Executive PJ Wendel joins us in a live interview. Next.
And the radar is nice and dry today, but it will not be staying that way as we head through the week, and temperatures up and down once again. I have the full forecast coming up as the news at noon starts now.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. One new case of COVID-19 was reported yesterday, bringing Chautauqua County's count of confirmed cases to 31. Here's a look at the area's updated COVID map. Officials say the new case involves a woman in her 60s. There are now 4 active cases, 24 recovered cases, and 3 deaths. A total of 42 people remain under quarantine or isolation orders by the public health director. Now in Cattaraugus County, the number of positive COVID cases remains at 35, with 9 active, 24 recovered, and 2 deaths there. Last week, Chautauqua County's public health director said it's possible for a COVID-19 test to come back negative falsely, with a rate that's near 30%. However, Christine Schuyler tells us she isn't overly concerned about that specific statistic.
There is that chance that someone can be testing negative, but that is the same with every test that's out there. So that's not something that's special or unique to the COVID-19 test. That's one of the reasons why we continue to isolate people and watch their symptoms, regardless even if they have a negative test. We still are giving them advice on how to isolate and when they really should be going back to work or going back out into the community.
Now, Schuyler explained that her office hasn't seen a false positive here rather. She says that the FDA recently approved an at-home diagnostic COVID-19 test, but the test is reportedly very limited in use. She adds she was additionally told by the New York State Health Department that the test isn't available in New York. Well, Governor Andrew Cuomo is offering more details towards the state's plan to reopen during the COVID-19 crisis. Governor Cuomo says that the state will reopen on a region-by-region basis because the COVID-19 numbers in upstate New York are starkly different from the numbers downstate. However, Cuomo says no region will be reopened in New York before the New York pause order has expired, which is expected to expire on May 15th.
Phase 1 of reopening will involve construction and manufacturing activities. And within construction and manufacturing, those businesses that have a low risk, right? There is a range of construction activities, there's a range of manufacturing activities, but those businesses that pose a low risk within them. Phase 2 would then be more a business-by-business analysis using the matrix that we've discussed. How essential a service does that business provide, and how risky is that business?
Now, the CDC recommends that states wait to reopen until they see a decline in hospitalization rates for 14 consecutive days. Now, both statewide and regionally. Now, currently, in New York State, hospitalizations have declined for 13 days, but the total number of hospitalizations is still much higher than other states nationwide. Now, Governor Cuomo was not able to provide a concrete date as to when the phases might begin, but says nothing will happen until that pause order expires. Well, multiple clinical trials are now underway to find effective treatments for COVID-19. New York State's hospitals are even studying a common heartburn drug as a treatment option. Medical correspondent Elizabeth Cohen with more.
Could it be that a medicine on drugstore shelves might help in the fight against coronavirus? Doctors are trying to figure that out. Researchers in New York City are studying the active ingredient in Pepcid called famotidine. It's because of something doctors observed in China.
Patients who were sick with COVID but were taking famotidine had a better outcome.
Now doctors at Northwell Health are trying it out in a clinical trial.
You do the hard work.
So far, they've enrolled 187 patients and expect preliminary results in a few weeks.
There are many examples in the history of medicine where a drug that was designed for one purpose turns out to have an effect in another disease.
But Dr. Tracy warned, don't rush out to buy heartburn medicine. The patients in the study are in the hospital getting mega doses intravenously, and it's not clear that it will work. While the Northwell doctors work on famotidine, Dr. Anthony Fauci Saturday had some hopeful words for another drug, remdesivir, for animals with coronavirus.
There was clinical benefit just reported a couple of weeks ago of SARS coronavirus 2 in rhesus macaques.
And a doctor at the University of Nebraska saying results on a major remdesivir study in humans could be available in a week or two. Also over the weekend, the governor of Florida held a press conference where a doctor said 12 patients had done well on convalescent plasma. Antibodies from someone who's recovered from coronavirus are given to someone who's currently infected.
And when we give it to that patient, we essentially are boosting their immune system to help fight this infection. This is going to be a huge game changer in our armamentarium to fight COVID-19.
But doctors warn having 12 patients who recovered doesn't necessarily mean very much, since most COVID-19 patients do recover. A larger study with a comparison group would be necessary. Only the best science to get treatments that really work for COVID patients and their families desperate for answers.
Now, the FDA says there are 7 clinical drug trials for COVID-19 underway right now, with many more in the planning stages. On the vaccine front, the World Health Organization says 7 vaccines are in the testing stage right now. 82 vaccine candidates are currently in pre-clinical development. Meanwhile, the FDA is also authorizing 3 new coronavirus antibody tests, which can indicate if someone is immune to the drug. That brings the current number of FDA-authorized tests to 7. Now, this kind of FDA authorization carries a lower regulatory standard because it is under emergency use standards. And that means while the benefits outweigh any risks, the tests do carry the risk of false positives and negatives. Patients who get results from one of these antibody tests should still follow social distancing guidelines, officials say. It also remains unclear whether antibodies indicate that someone is immune to reinfection of COVID-19. Well, dozens of Jamestown hockey players are taking part in the latest fad that has taken over the internet. Take a look. It's called the Hockey Toilet Paper Challenge. Stacy Rivera shared this video with us, and she says her son Joey put it together with his team. The idea is to have a roll of toilet paper tossed into the frame and creatively juggle the toilet paper out with your hockey stick. Just another way to have some fun while at home. You can watch the full video posted right now at WNYNewsNow.com and on our mobile app. Certainly does look like a lot of fun, and another great way too for the team to get together even though they are all social distancing. We've seen that with a number of area bands performing together online. Great for those young hockey players here in Jamestown. Hopefully everybody is having a great Monday, and we thank you so much for joining us here for WNY News Now as we continue to put facts over fear in our coverage of the COVID-19 outbreak. Got to say hello to Zach. Hopefully you're doing well. Good to see Jason on the broadcast. Hello to you. Hello to Brenda, Pam, Melody. Good to see you. Pat, thanks for joining us today. And hello to Joseph. Hopefully you are having a good day. Let's switch gears now, get a check of our First Defense weather forecast. That's where we find Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter. Happy Monday to you, Dakota. And looks like a pretty nice day out there. Looks anyways. I know it was a little chilly out there this morning, but some sunshine and clouds over there.
It is, and the sun is starting to peek back out again, and that is the good news, especially over the weekend where we had the temperatures actually not bad for this time of the year. Now, my question is, can we do that toilet paper challenge with golf?
I don't see why not. It might be harder to, well, I don't know if it would be harder to hit. I know a hockey stick seems like it'd be pretty easy.
Well, let's see.
Anyways.
You know, you've
You
got,
can try
like that. Anyway. This
Are
is
you
a live
missing
look
the
coming
golf
from-
course? It seems like you're missing
sorry?
the course.
Huh? I'm sorry?
It seems like you're missing the golf course right now.
Yes,
Dakota.
I know. Please. Anyway, this is a look coming from downtown Moore, and the sun is about down there, and traffic flowing okay over the Hickory Street Bridge. 49 is the current temperature with a wind northwest at 5 miles per hour. Hey, did you get out and enjoy the weekend as best as you could? Here, Chautauqua Lake looking great over the weekend. Our own Justin Gould took this picture, and we threw it on Facebook. How did you spend the weekend? And this is probably one of my favorite pictures that came in. The dogs are enjoying this. The sun was out. It was milder. The dogs were soaking this up. Thanks to David for sending this in. Fantastic. And of course, if you have any pictures or video of the weather, Hunters WX on Twitter and the First Defense weather page on Facebook, we will of course get them on the air. The radar shows you really nothing. We've had just a few light little rain showers coming north off Lake Ontario, but that's not impacting the southern tier at all. And it will stay mainly dry for the afternoon with a lot of sunshine out there. 51 over 37 was the high and low yesterday, and 88 and 25 are in the record books for today. So through the afternoon today, a good supply of sunshine. It's still below average, but it's going to feel nice though with temperatures back into the 50s for most part. A nice day overall. 48 highest hills, 55 near the Lake Erie shoreline. North wind 6 to 15 miles per hour. We'll squeak out another dry day tomorrow. Then more rain returns for the middle and late part of the week. We'll talk about it in a few. Justin?
All right, Dakota, thank you very much. Coming up, Chautauqua County Executive PJ Wendel, you see there, joins us live to talk about the county's continued fight against COVID-19 and now the effort to get businesses ready to reopen. Stay with us.
With coverage that matters. This is WNY News Now.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
This is Christine Schuyler, Chautauqua County Public Health Director, with a very important message. We need you to make every effort to protect yourselves and our healthcare workers. If you absolutely don't need to go out, don't. If you have a mild cold or flu-like symptoms, with or without a fever, stay home. If your symptoms are severe, call your healthcare provider. Do not go to the emergency room or urgent care. Do not call 911 or go to the ER unless you are experiencing a life-threatening emergency. The best ways you can help prevent the spread of COVID-19 are to wash your hands often with soap and water, cover your cough, avoid close contact with others. Please stay home.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
And welcome back to WNY News Now. Chautauqua County Executive PJ Wendel joins us on the broadcast now to talk more about the county's continued fight against COVID-19 and now the effort to get businesses ready to reopen. Executive Wendel, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, last week, your office urged local businesses to get ready to reopen. The governor now saying that the state won't likely reopen for at least another 2 weeks. Where do we stand right now in the process here in Chautauqua County?
Well, I think we stand in a pretty good position. If you think about, that letter was about a week in the making. And then when it was rolled out last Wednesday, it was after a great deal of consideration based on our numbers, statistics, and, how we look at this via my COVID-19 team. So again, our medical directors and public health director looked at that as we rolled it out. And it's interesting enough that, on Sunday, the governor asked put out the same request to local businesses, looking at a tailor-made opening plan for them. So I think it's important that our businesses start to look at that as we approach this. The 15th is right now is the date for the pause effect to end, I guess you would say. But I just want to make sure businesses are aware that, as that phased reopening starts, they need to be prepared and have that plan ready. It's really important that we're on the ready as this rolls out. But I think it's important to remember that, listening to what the governor said, is construction and manufacturing would be the first two areas of low prevalence that they would look to open. So it's not going to be a flip of the switch and everything goes back to normal. This will be a very segmented, I guess you would say, or a very cautious opening, and will be done so, keeping in line and monitoring all of those numbers as we increase the number of businesses opening.
Yeah, and it seems like county officials will be keeping that watch very closely, and as we go up in levels of government, they would be reported to them. But specifically for local businesses, say someone does own a shop here in Lakewood, let's just say, what advice do you give to them? What would their plan look like? Obviously, probably cleaning, social distancing guidelines for their customers. What would a plan look like?
I think what we need to do is, on that letter that I put out, there were some guidances from the CDC and OSHA as they were going to reopen. Also, food processing, food service, and grocery stores did have some information there as well. Each one of these is going to be tailor-made to the business. What I would ask businesses to do is, for example, if you're a small business, let's say for Lakewood, they do have a Lakewood Business Association, then we reach out to other businesses and start to come up with a consensus plan. For example, if you're a golf course, reach out to other golf courses and say, what are we doing? What are some good common practices or best practices we all could agree on as we start to open? And this goes with every business, whether you're a pet groomer, whether you're small retail, large retail, small manufacturing. This afternoon, we have a meeting with our larger manufacturers in the county. It's the same information I'm going to give them. What are some of the best practices you would like to share to other industries and businesses? And that way, we'll get those clusters of groups ready to go. And that way, it's not so much a heavy lift for any one business. I know it's a very daunting task, but again, remembering social distancing, again, the masks are still required. So how would we have our employees wearing masks, face coverings as we move forward, sanitizing our counters, our common areas as we go through businesses, larger manufacturings? Maybe we close down but we limit our, congregate areas as far as like a break room and so forth. If the individuals want to take lunch, they take it in their car. So I'm asking businesses to reach out to one another and come up with some common practices that we all could agree on as we get ready for this reopening.
Now, as we've been mentioning, the governor says that the reopening will likely take place in stages. On Friday, our county's public health director said that she doesn't want a free-for-all of sorts, and her public health staff will be continuing to monitor the outbreak very closely. Why is it so important to take this slow and steady approach?
Well, I think it's because you don't want to, open up and have an increase in cases and not understand where those cases are, and be able to do that contact tracing. I've said it throughout, and I'll continue to say it. Our public health director, Christine Schuyler, and her group are phenomenal. They get out, they get after the information that's given them, the data, they get out onto the contact tracing, they get those numbers out, they make sure people are aware of who contacts are, let those contacts be made aware that they potentially have come in contact with a positive case. So I reached out and expressed that, my pleasure is in their ability to, get this job done, to really tackle any information that comes out and quell or to put those, kind of put out the small fires, if you will. If there's any cluster or hotspot that comes open, they'll get out and get right to it. I did have a call this morning with Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, and said the same thing to her. She was really pleased to find out that, one, our public health department hasn't been inundated with a lot of cases, so they're at the ready. And Christine Schuyler has a phase 2, how we can employ more individuals from the county that will help in that contact tracing. So this is what they do. If this were a health concern in a restaurant, they contact trace, they get out and they get after and do their investigation. This is no different. They'll be able to do this. And again, at a much larger level, she's got her phase 1 group now and the phase 2 ready to go. So I'm very excited. Also, Lieutenant Governor was very impressed with the ability we have as to we are going to, keep on this as we move forward.
And really, the local area has had a pretty big influence on the statewide decision and plan construction in regards to reopening COVID-19. A few weeks ago, Senator Borrello, Assemblyman Goodell formulated this regional approach plan. They suggested to the governor. A day later, he was in Buffalo talking about how he's going to go in that direction. And now really here on the local level, what type of role and discussions are you having with the lieutenant governor who's in charge of Western New York's approach? And will you use this sort of to say if we're one of the first places to open up, we can test the water to kind of see how things will play out for the rest of the state?
Certainly. I think this is going to be a good time for our businesses in Chautauqua County to show the rest of the state that we can do this responsibly and that we will take all safety into consideration first and foremost. The governor has asked me to, as I've asked the businesses to submit those letters and those plans to review them. I will act as a conduit between the county and her office to get those plans to her, so she will be able to look at the information and the data as they make their decisions. But I really believe that this is going to be a chance for Western New York, Chautauqua County in particular, to show the rest of the state what we're made of. This will be our finest hour, I'd like to think, and that's what I'm going to encourage our businesses to do. You know, as we began this shutdown or this pause of New York State, when I was on the calls every night with other NYSAC leaders, I listened in particular to what other groups were doing and how we were able to take guidance from them. Now I think it's our turn to repay the favor and show other places in New York State how we can open responsibly and respectfully, keeping in mind the safety and well-being of not only our employees, but our customers and the community. I think it's a great way for Western New York, Chautauqua County in particular, to shine and give a great example of how we can do this responsibly. One of the things that they're looking at, and the Lieutenant Governor did speak to me about this, is she is in constant contact with our hospital numbers. We have not had an admission in a Chautauqua County hospital since April 8th of this year. So we have had our more than 2 weeks right now of no hospital admissions, excuse me. So those are promising for the county. And again, we're ready. Our businesses will be ready. And I'd like those businesses to really step up, as they have already, and be a guiding light for the rest of the state. We can really show everybody what we're made of here in Chautauqua County as we open up and give guidance to the rest of the state.
Now, this week, a demonstration, part of a statewide protest, is taking a stand against the governor's New York on pause order. Specifically, many say that they're upset because we've been shut down for so long. Why is it important for a group like this to speak out, but also to continue to respect each other by practicing social distancing and other precautionary measures?
Well, I think one of the pieces we have to remember that this is our constitutional right. And I know watching your broadcast last week, those are the positions that they've taken, that they feel it's an infringement of their rights. And, you know, the right to public protest and, meeting is, again, within the Constitution. So our urgence is to maintain social distancing and do the right thing for your neighbors. You know, the Lieutenant Governor asked today, what do you see with the masks and how are people, abiding by it? We know for the large majority of people, they're following the directive, they're following the rules, and they're wearing the mask. But the questions and the positions that some have taken is, I'm doing my part, why aren't you? By not wearing your mask. I'm helping my community, you should be too. So I believe this group, although they're concerned about their rights being, potentially infringed on by the government or the governor per se, I think wearing those masks will show that, they're still doing the right thing. They are respecting their neighbors. They are respecting the community and taking those safe practices into consideration.
Do you support the protest this Friday?
Well, I think it's everybody's right constitutionally. I can't speak. I haven't really sat down and listened to all of their points and what they're protesting, but, that's a constitutional right. My ask is that it's done in a peaceful manner and people are respecting one another. We all have difference of opinions here, and I think that's really important. As I have talked through my team the entire time, we don't always agree on everything, but we do discuss things. And before we put something out, we make sure that we are in agreement that what goes out is a consensus from our group in the COVID-19 team. And I really am very proud of that our group discusses the matter, and we all are, educated enough to know where we stand, and that we don't always agree on items. But when it comes to the public health and safety, those are items that we all do agree on, and we make sure that those that information is effective and it's agreed upon as it rolls out. So again, this group, by all means, they're well entitled, and I just ask that they do it in a peaceful manner and respect those who may have a different opinion of theirs.
All right, Chautauqua County Executive PJ Wendel joining us on the broadcast today. Sir, thank you. Finally, there's been talk among the community that life will look a lot different after we enter this normalcy, and I'm going to use that word lightly, when that's restored. What do you think the new normal will look like as people start to come out of self-isolation? And what's your message for families in the county?
You know, the message I for everyone is we need to stay the course. You know, whether you look at us in a myriad of ways, you know, we're almost to the finish line. Maybe if we look at it that way, we'd hate to give up now. We'd hate to give up our efforts right now and see something, you know, push us back a couple of steps. So we want everybody to continue the due diligence that we've been doing right now, wearing your mask when you're out in public. I know it's tough. You know, families have been very active in their lifestyles. I know my family, we probably would have had practices every night and, you know, juggling between, you know, getting people one place or another for practice. But I think having said that, everyone has really done a great job of following the guidance, practicing social distancing. And what's the new normal? We're not sure. We know that it's been stated by everybody across the board, and I think it's relatively safe to say we're agreeing on the one point is that things will not be the same as they were before. You know, for a while there will be a lot of mask and facial coverings. There will be a lot more glove wearing. You know, businesses, restaurants in particular, are allowed to open. There will be extreme, you know, not extreme, but at least 6 feet between the tables. We may be at half capacity. I'm not sure what those guidances will be, but I think those things we need to look at and we need to be aware. But I think the promising point is this: after 9/11, you know, people questioned, will we be able to travel in the air again? And we saw, yes, we will. And I think just like that, people will be cautious. People will be more aware of their surroundings. But in the end of the day, things will be different. I can't say exactly what they will be, but we will get back to a relative normal, but we're not sure when that is. But things will change. And I think everyone will accept that, knowing that really we're looking out for one another. That's the bottom line here, is keeping ourselves safe and others safe.
All right, Chautauqua County Executive PJ Wendel joining us on the broadcast today. Sir, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Justin. Have a great day.
You too. Now let's get a check of our weather forecast with Dakota.
Well, we've been showing this graphic the last couple of days, and it's been a kind of a good point to mention here. Where is spring hiding? Because we really haven't had long-term warmth that would kind of signal spring. We've had 18 days this month where the high temperature has been below average for the day. Only 7 days this month has seen a temperature at average or above average. So when you add all the high temperatures together for the month, the average temperature for the month is 48 degrees. That is 9 degrees below the normal for this date. We actually should be in the mid to upper 50s for a monthly high, and the pattern just doesn't seem like it's going to favor any warmth anytime soon. But right now, it's not too bad. 47 here in town, 45 Mayville, 50 Dunkirk, 48 Fredonia, 49 Clymer, Randolph here at 47, and Olean still stuck down into the upper 30s up there, 51 up in Buffalo. So temperatures not too bad today, and we're going to have another day of this coming up tomorrow. So mainly dry over the next couple of days. It warms up middle of the week. We're talking lower 60s. Finally, for the first time in several days, we're finally going to see the lower 60s coming back again. But of course, with that warmth means wet. We are going to see a few showers coming our way, especially the middle and the later part of the week. We go back down again as we basically as we end the week, and it warms up again going into early next week here. So let's talk about the 8 to 14 day temp outlook here. Now, even though that we are in this colder than average pattern here, now the first month of May, looking at it, the average high is generally in the mid 60s, upper 60s. So we may be stuck back in the upper 50s to lower 60s. That's still below average, but that's not going to be too bad. Dry sweeps on first defense Doppler radar. We're not going to spend time on it. This is our next storm system right here. It doesn't look impressive now, but it's up here in the upper, but it's way up here in the western part of the United States, up in Washington, going into Canada. This is going to be coming our way over the middle of the week. Here on Future Scan, the model is running, showing you nothing through the day. Now, the model does spark up a few of these little isolated showers tonight and early tomorrow morning. I wouldn't rule that out. It's a 20% chance, but it's a very small chance. So I think think most of us should stay dry. You can see the model again spitting up a couple showers early tomorrow morning. Then after that, we dry out for the afternoon hours. Weekend weather, or should I say the middle of the week, is going to be this storm system as it moves on through. Again, notice the rain coming in, especially Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Temperatures will be right around average, and then we'll fall down again going into next week. 37 to 43 tonight, partly to mostly cloudy, quiet, and eventful. Here come the next 7 days coming up. 54 tomorrow, 63 Wednesday. Both Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, very wet. And then the weekend, we're back up again with just a few scattered showers at times. News continues 24/7 at WNYNewsNow.com. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day.